That's why you brought me over here. I've met these before.
Right now? Hello, hello? Hello, hello? Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing right now, but welcome. Whoa.
What are you taking from?
Hey, Scott.
All right. So family trait of ours is we cry whenever we express our emotions. So I'm going to deflect by being humorous. So my name is Katie. I am Julie's youngest daughter. This is Lauren and our cutest little baby and stuff. I know we have another baby here, but I'm biased. She's cute. So I don't know if we have any fans of the show Schitt's Creek in the house. Yeah. For anybody who has watched the show Schitt's Creek, the mother Moira, or you've seen a couple of parallels to our dear Julie French. One in particular is relates to my favorite story about my mom. So about the fourth episode, Moira, the mom, gives a piece of paper to her daughter Alexis and is like, "Oh, I need you to fill this out." The girl looks at the paper and is like, "Everything's filled out except for my middle name." She's like, "Yeah, I need you to fill out the paperwork." She's like, "Mom, did you forget my middle name?" So you think that's crazy. But so when my sister is getting married to Ed over here, he's in the hallway. My mom was talking to my sister and said, "All right, are you going to be taking Ed's last name?" My sister said, "I've thought of it. Ed has asked me to take it. So I'm going to move Ellefson to my middle name and take Chester as my last name." My mom looks at my sister and says, "Well, this is awkward. What's your middle name?" And my sister plainly looks at my mom and is like, "Mom, it's the same as Katie's middle name." My mom's like, "What's Katie's middle name?" And then it gets worse. My sister's like, "Mom, it's the same as your middle name. It's your maiden name." Our grandparents who are on Zoom, hopefully you guys can hear this and stuff. So they're Bill and Helen French. My mom was born Julie French. She later became Julie French Ellefson. My sister was Lauren French Ellefson. I was Katie French Ellefson. It's a family thing, but yeah. So, it's stories like that we really enjoy from our mom. So hopefully my dad's had a good laugh and can rally and stuff. So here he is.
Okay. I just want to thank everybody for coming. You've all known Julie at different points of Julie's life. And so I encourage you. I brought a book with me at the beginning when Julie got sick. And it's about Julie's good life. And I'd encourage you to take a look, to just see it, all the pages in there, and it's the same smile, same energy all the time. This is tough for me. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna open the mic up because, like I said, there's a lot of people that are on it virtually on it too, so they couldn't make it out here. But she's touched so many people over the years. A couple of them, like I'll point out one young gentleman, Ben, he's all the way here from the East Coast. He worked for me at Lockheed Skunk Works, and Ben was a young guy on it. And Ben gave me a nice comment. He said, "When I needed it, Julie was more of a mother to me than my own mother was." And so he's here, and that story's repeated many times. Now, drinking in the garage, I have to correct one thing. She really didn't want to meet you. She was wanting to meet your dog. And to this day, dogs always turn a hard right because they know there are cookies. And Yeah, Webster and all of the others. But you know, you incidental people became became part of her fabric of life too. So and then I want to express real thanks to the Devers, Craig and Patty. They helped put all this together. And we met them first time standing on that railing when we first moved down here. And we just hit it off, and we've been doing stuff forever and watching it. And then I can't neglect Julie's oldest friends here, Missy, and well, they're all their Arizona sorority mates. And there are two right along husbands who are good friends. And you guys will have to come up and talk, say a couple words about Julie, because you've known him forever. Now, coincidentally, all three of the girls, and there was a foursome. Unfortunately, Dalby passed away earlier, but the three girls, we each had two daughters. And so 10 years, I guess, it's just been a process of going to each daughter's wedding. And I'm happy to say that Katie was sort of the last completion, and all daughters are married off and stuff. So. Lauren, you want to say something?
Yeah. So elephant in the room, I got a baby on my chest. And my mother had some great advice. They're slippery. They're incredibly slippery. So when we told her that we were pregnant, she's like, why are you FaceTiming me? What do you want? Are you pregnant? We're like, yes, we are pregnant. She goes, on purpose? These are all true stories, as you know. And I told her I was going to bathe Marilyn in the sink because she was born like 5 pounds, nothing. And I was just like, she'll get lost in a washcloth. And she's like, no, she needs a bathtub on the floor. They're slippery. They're so slippery. That was a very big thing. And I was like, did you drop me? And she goes, well, never on purpose, but yes. Also, no car seats on tables. That's a real challenge. I was like, did I fall off a table? She goes, no, your sister did. But as you know, Julie was specific in her guidance, but always well-intentioned. And she was the best mom could have asked for. And she was a really great grandma. And thank you all so much for coming. It means so much to us to spend this day with you and really celebrate everything about her.
Last story before I grab somebody in the audience to talk. As you guys probably know, both our daughters went to the Naval Academy, and that's 100% to do with Julie, because I was the worst naval officer in the entire world. You know, I had no military bearing. Julie majored in recreation and partying in Arizona. And we got married as sort of older parents, and she says, our kids are not making the same mistakes I did. And so from day one, it's like, yeah, we made a decision that says we will not let our daughters close any doors until they're 18. So if they cry learning their mathematics table at the kitchen table, so be it. And Julie stuck to that. She was a tough mom, but a loving mom on it. And she did everything for the kids. And, you know, it worked out. You know, by the time we had them so browbeaten that, you know, by their third year at the Naval Academy, we'd ask them, how is it? And they didn't say they liked it, didn't say they didn't like it. They said, well, we can't imagine ourselves anyplace else. So my games work. So anyway, let me take it over to the Arizona table here. And this is Lynn.
Hi, everybody. Do you want to stand with or no? Okay, I look around the room and actually, except with the exception of Anita, I think we have known Julie longer than anyone or had the privilege to do that. Julie was my sorority sister and roommate. And some of the most fond memories we had were we all had early classes and we'd get back to our room at about 2 o'clock. And I was so fortunate because Julie was one of the very few on the sorority that had a television. And so we'd get back and watch, I think it was Batman or some weird rerun. And then as soon as that was over, she would like pull up the covers, like, okay, it's nighttime. And so we'd take a little nap and then get up in order to be the first in line for dinner. And that was our routine. And it was just a wonderful life with Julie. But I wish I had known this story about the names prior to this, because she would give me such, if I can say the word, shit about it. We used to call her Frenchie, and that was her name. And so finally, by the end of the semester, I looked at her and I was like, what is your name? And she says, it's Julie. So if I'd only known. So anyway, Julie was one of my best friends. Not only were we college roommates, we have been through weddings, marriages, divorces, relationships. We all went to our kids' weddings, and she actually was one of my best supporters in all facts of life, and I'm going to truly, truly miss her. I know all of you will do the same, and we are all so fortunate to have her in our lives. I will pass it on to Missy real quick.
Hi, I'm Missy, Missy Stern Enton, and Julie was my pledge daughter. So I went to Arizona State 1973. Julie came in 1974. We were not predisposed biologically, but I could appreciate the story about the middle name because I would have done the same thing. And I was not a good pledge mother, which I was reminded of, but she was okay with that. And when I came in today, Dave said, I have something for you. And it was the DG paddle, Delta Gamma. We were in Delta Gamma together. And it said to Julie, 1977 from Missy. So I thought, well, you know, I don't remember getting a paddle from my pledge mom. So maybe I was a better pledge mother than I thought. But Julie kept that paddle all these years. So that's what, 40 years. And I will tell you, I mean, we had many super fun times. We went to Annapolis. Oh my God, we had so much fun. We went to Park City. Yeah, you can only imagine. We went to Park City where Lynn had a house. We're actually, my husband and I, Jerry, are actually moving there soon. And we had fun there. Coronado so many times. Julie actually never let me go to Lancaster Palmdale. So I don't know about that part of her life so much. We had a little interruption for a few years. And we all had daughters the same age. I mean, I've got a 33 and a 29 and everybody's daughters. But, you know, and I always laugh, like, you know, I was a recreation major too. So, and my mother wanted me to go to Arizona State and she wanted me to be a rec. So okay, you know, I wasn't thinking too much back then. And so it's like, how do you get 2 presidential appointments to the Naval Academy and you were a recreation major at Arizona State that barely graduated from college? So, but she raised great daughters, had a wonderful husband in David. And I mean, it really does absolutely break my heart. She had a wonderful life here, and I'm going to look at that paddle every single day. I already know where it's going. And yeah, and that's it. I don't like speaking in public, by the way. So,
And I just want to add, actually, I could add had a lot more stories, but they're all those pre-marriage sorority stories. And we have daughters and husbands here and there, so anyway, we had a great time. I'm just saying.
We need to correct one thing, and just a couple of people from Palmdale here. So the people from Palmdale have to say, is correct. Come on up here with Mike, and you're representing Palmdale, and come on. Yeah, Chip wants you to come up here. Barb, Chip just called me. It says, yeah, come on up. So anyway, here's the Palmdale contingent. And in Palmdale, we had basically farmland area with the network, Kentucky Derby, big hats, and stuff like this. Mike and Jessica and Ben worked with us. So defend Palmdale with all your.
I'm not going to defend it because I don't. Yes, my husband retired and we were about 2 years behind David and Julie moving here. Yeah, so we have a lot of good memories in Palmdale, and mostly it was the laughs. Julie liked to laugh and liked to have a good time. And I'm so glad that I was her friend, and the years that we spent in Palmdale were really, really special. I'm gonna miss her. I'm gonna miss sending my ridiculous emojis to her. But this is wonderful. Thank you, David and Katie and Lauren, for including everybody. And I'll hand it over to Great.
Hi, I don't live in Palmdale anymore either. I got the heck out and I moved clear to the south. I live in Prince. This is ran with Lauren first and then with Lauren and Katie. Great times. We Big Bear. And Julie was all hands on deck. She and I hit Costco. Looked like we were running or something, the amount of stuff we had. David had all the camping gear, the tents and everything, which surprised me about Julie. I never thought she would have been like a camper. She didn't seem like the outdoorsy type, but that just blew me away. She was completely into all of that. Had it all organized, but then also all the fun parts, you know, the special days where they had to wear certain things to run, certain shirts. So made it a lot of fun. And one thing that I remember that she did teach me, and I passed it on to my daughter, which Julie taught me, bless her heart, was when that sheet comes around to sign up for an event at school or in Scouts, or somebody has to bring the paper goods. So sign up quick, get the paper goods, because I don't want to have to make something. I can buy plates and napkins and cups. So get that list first, and my kids have done that very nicely all the time growing. I'm sure that will advice. I will miss Julie very much. We didn't over the years, but when we would see each other a year, it was like we never used to be. Just picked up where we left off, asking how the kids were, how everybody was doing. So I think that's the testimony to Julie's concern and love for all of us. No matter when you hooked up with her, got to see her again, she was right back in it, wanting to know how everybody in your life was. I know I'll miss her, as will all of us. So Lauren, Dave, and Katie, thanks for sharing them all with me.
I'm Michael. I live in Palmdale. So I'm yeah, still recovering from Palmdale. No, so yeah, it's funny. Yeah, because I picked up running as well. So I'm an ultra runner. So I run distances 26 plus. So with all the cross country stories and everything else that Dave talked about, I show up races now. I say, hey, I'm from Palmdale. I'm showing up for the 50K or a 100-mile race, and they were like, running from Palmdale, huh? I was like, always. So no, I can't. You know, there are so many different stories. Well, one of them, you know, I'm in the, we're in the high desert. So we have 2 kids. We came down here one time to visit. They're like, Julie asked, you know, so how, you know, how are things going this and the other? I was like, good. And I made a comment about swimming. I was like, well, you know, and she was like, oh, are they swimming a lot? I was like, I'm in Palmdale. We're in the desert. There's no water. You know, I was like, what do you, she was like, unacceptable. Kids, pack your bags to the pool. And by Lord, that's what we did. So my kids still talk about it. So we miss her.
I do want to share a story. When my little girl met Julie, the first thing she did, there were napkins we were eating, I think even at the beach or something. But even then, she's like, oh, girl, and taught my little one, this is what you do. I was so touched by that. And so I just share that because I think how Julie and Dave have raised their daughters, it's an inspiration to how Michael and I are trying to raise our young ones. So that's all true to what Julie was about. Thank you.
So there's hope for Palmdale. And then I'll take it over here. We've got an old family friend, Randy. You're on.
A couple words. Well, probably. I heard this over there. We probably have known Julie as long as there she is. As long as we go way back. So most of the stories we probably have, we shouldn't tell. But, it was always a matter of when Julie was around, we were getting in trouble. We're very close friends, so she used to stay at our house quite a bit when Helen and Bill would go out of town. And over the years, the different things would progress. I remember in high school, she would come and stay at the house, and as soon as parents went to bed, she's okay. We got to get out of here. I got to go see so and so and so and so, and they're all guys. Sorry, Dave, but so she got all. There was always a story with Julie. I remember finally gave in, and Julie said, "Well, I'll go." No male dogs, no big dogs, no dogs that are going to shed. So Julie found we came home with him, and at least I got to blame her. My mother believed it when I said it was Julie's fault. So there's 100 stories like that. There's always something when it came to Julie. It hurt so bad, and you know, girls will be as well.
Well, I guess I have known Julie the longest of the group since I was there shortly after she arrived. My sister and I grew up together in Downey, which I think is probably on par with Palmdale. I don't know. Apologies, Anita. But yeah, so Julie was always the fun one. Everybody at our house gravitated to Julie. And I'm really good at cleaning houses. So that was that. But anyway, Julie was a fact.
What sound quality on this sucks.
And then you've heard Anita mention several times. She was the one in the swimming pool.
I keep sitting down. Thank you. Okay. Well, first of all, what a beautiful venue. I just feel her here so much. I think everybody does. And
she feels that love for her that we all have and still do and will forever. Now, growing up as a little kid, we went to nursery school together. I think Randy might have gone to the same nursery school. This does go in and out, so I don't know why is that. And there are more than a million stories where she would say, let's go do this. And I go, no, we can't do that. We're going to get in trouble. She goes, oh, no, it'll be okay. And then later, of course, we'd get found out. And Mrs. French would say, oh, that Julie, and laugh. And Julie would get away with it. I would get in trouble. Always. There's so many times that I listened to her. I should not have listened to her. Now, this starts from when you're an itty bitty kid and you're going to birthday parties as little kids, on to brownies, then Girl Scouts, and then you're becoming a woman and the boys and that girl, it girl, looking marvelous all the time, just boys, boys, boys. Of course, you girls knew that about your mom, right? And then later on, meeting the love of her life, David, 2 things she said to me was the best thing I ever did in my life was marry David. More than life herself. I love you, Julie.
Now, who wants to represent the neighborhood? You know, because we have soup of the day. We've got all this, you know, it's like, oh, well, I got one over here and then Steve was next. So you pass it to Steve.
I'm Trisha, and I live across the street from Julie, like across the street diagonal. And I have lots of Julie stories, but I'm going to only just try to pick the G-rated ones. So I remember when Julie landed on our street, and I say that jokingly but truthfully because she came with quite an impact. I always thought she coined the phrase Julie from the block way before J-Lo said J-Lo, Jenny from the block. But my son was 19 years old and he came home all in a huff one day and he said, Mom, the neighbor just came, the new neighbor moved in. I said, okay, all right, all right. Who are they? He said, oh, you're going to be really mad. You're going to be so upset. And I said, why am I going to be upset? He goes, she's a partier. I said, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. You're 19. I'm like, how do you know? What do you mean? You just walked down the street. How do you know she's pretty good? She says the F word a lot. And I said, oh, for God's sake. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to have to go check her out because I'm kind of private and mild mannered. And I was like, so I strolled down. I'm like, I'm going to go to the mailbox and just kind of take a look across the street. So I kind of looked and she's like, hi. And I was like, okay, she's talking to me. And I was like, hi, how are you? And she's like, lady from across the street, hello. And I was like, I waved, but I was like, hi. And she goes, I'm new here. And I go, okay. So I'm walking to the mailbox. Come back. And she's like, lady from across the street, do you live here? And I was like, oh my God. So I was mortified, but she started to have these garage parties, which, if you knew her and you were privileged enough to attend it, I mean, you lived the time of your life with her. And she would always say at the beginning, we had this little flag that you put out to have a wine party in your driveway. And I'd come home from work and she'd like, lady from across the street, I have the flag out in my yard right now. Get your wine. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go meet her. I'm like, she's not going to leave me alone. And thank God she didn't, because what a wonderful friend she turned out to be for me. And I remember 2 years into her battle, I came home one day and I said, oh, Julie, I thought I just got diagnosed. And she was like, oh, shit, what are we going to do about it? And I said, what do you mean? What are we going to do about it? She goes, we got to have a plan. What are we going to do about it? And I thought, you are in your own plan. What do you mean? But that's how she was. She knew my chemo schedules way better than I knew hers. And she was my cheerleader all the way through because that's who she is. And God love her for loving the Navy. I do too. But I swear, Julie,
if you screw up my TV when the Navy Notre Dame game is on, I'm gonna be really, really mad. And I'm probably gonna say the F word. So don't do it. But I will miss her forever.
This is in and out. I might, yeah. I know. So I live next door to Julie. Someone said something a bit earlier. I just the mischievous part of her is kind of my life as well. Julie and I definitely felt like we were absolute kindred spirits in that regard, and I think she picked up on that right away within days of moving in. She'd said some things to me over the years, and something that stuck was one of the very first things she said that I'm honestly not going to share with you, but it told me the kind of person she was to give me the love and friendship that she did. I too, he's helped me and Becky a lot the past couple of years, and we're together largely because of Julie. So we thank her for that. And David, Katie and Lauren and little Marilyn, you guys are lucky, and thank you for sharing your wife and your mother with us.
Okay. So Julie, Steve and Julie were the boisterous ones. I would be the one walking down the street and she'd be like, Becky, get in here, get in here. I'm like, oh, I'm a mess. I don't care, sit down. But there'd be times where I'd be dressed to go out and she'd look at me and she'd be like, are you wearing that? And I'm like, well, I thought I would. And those of you that don't know me, I hate to shop. I'm not a shopper. So she would look at me and she'd be like, well, okay, but we're going to work on that. So this is actually how I met Lynn, because magically Cabby showed up on my doorstep. And she would be like, no, I think this would look great on you, Julie. I'm not going to wear that. No, it looked on you. Anybody here knows you can't turn. So the reason I wore this dress, it's a Lily Pulitzer. I can't even say the name. Only one I own, but every time I'd wear it, she approved. She's like, you wear that. That looks good. So she was just so generous. And boy, it's Dave, we have some work to do because it's going to be really quiet next door. So we have some work to do.
This is Mike, my husband. We live across the street directly from Julie, and Julie and David moved into the neighborhood, and Julie was her normal loud, and Mike's like, oh my God, she is so fucking loud. And I have to tell you, over the years, there aren't a lot of people that Mike loves, but Mike loves Julie. Julie's illness and her passing has been very hard. I have two golden retrievers that, particularly one of them, constantly beelines over to David's house. You better still have those treats. Julie is selfless. I'm a nurse and I work out, and she was undergoing her therapy, and she's more concerned about me than herself. That's just there is an angel in heaven.
I have to tell you one story about the infusion locker that Julie had herself. I know sick. She went through a lot of infusions, but she called it her locker that had the garage, and she'd have chilled vodka in the freezer or their drink of choice. So it's like, Dave, make sure there's at least 5 chairs in there today. So that was is so.
Well, I have a Julie story. I don't know if this thing's working, but talking about the animals, it wasn't just dogs. It was possums and it was stray cats, because one day I was in her garage and I was saying, wow, we're having this really bad problem. These possums keep climbing up on top of this overhang and they're messing in the yard. And oh yeah, they have babies. I feed them every night. Thank you, Julie. And then the cat, but they're stray cats are not strays. And she'd say, oh, I love that cat. Have you seen that? Uh-huh. Yep, I've seen them. So she fed everything and they loved her to pieces. They finally stayed away from our yard and went to her house.
Yeah, that cat's actually in the slideshow, Julie. It's called, we call him Kiss Cat, or some of the people call him Will Ferrell. You cannot touch him, but we've been feeding for about 8 years. He's got a lean-to with a heated sheepskin lining, and he sleeps there in the winter. And he expects his dry food topped with wet every morning. And then the area is spotless because the possums come along and clean everything else up that's on it. So anyway, and the surprising thing is Kiss Cat, it's been gone for a while. He's getting old. Feral cats only live a couple of years. We've been feeding him for like 8 years now. So anyway, he showed up today. And so anyway, Katie said, hey, Kiss Cat's back. So I had to get the food that I had put away in the garage and get him out and do his water bowl and stuff like that. But he was just here for the celebration of life too. So. Anybody else? Navy contingent. Oh, by the way, we are an equal service one. Our oldest daughter, Lauren, did marry an Army guy. So, yeah.
Hey, my name's that's we met Julie here in the Cays, like most everyone in the Cays met her. She opened up the garage and said, hey, what you doing? But during the time that we lived here, that was my husband was deployed quite a bit. Actually had 3 sequential, almost back-to-back deployments, and Julie basically adopted me and my 2 young kids. At the time I was working full-time, dealing with 2 crazy boys. One Christmas, I just remember coming home and I said, all right, I got this artificial tree in the garage and I put the damn thing, the lights on it. That's all the kids are happy. That's what I can do. And that night, Julie came over and they said, where are the boxes? Where are the ornaments? We're going to do this. And they decorated my tree for me that year. And it was amazing. I wish I had fun stories of Julie. I don't know if I have any fun. Such beautiful emotional stories because she was that way to so many people. Anytime that I wanted to ask her how she was doing, she was like, oh, I'm great. I'm great. Tell me more about you. And even though knowing she wasn't great because Dave, you weren't down here, full time yet. And, she had her struggles, but she never wanted to talk about her struggles. She only wanted to talk about you and what you were going through. And I told a couple people this already. So if you've heard the story, I'm sorry. But the night that she passed, Lisa Brennan called and gave me the news. And of course we had our tears and I went to bed that night and I had a dream that we were all here and for a funeral and Julie showed up and she's like, haha, gotcha. I'm still here. Like, I knew it was coming and I just wanted everybody together to like celebrate and have a good time and drink and have fun. And that's what I feel like she wanted. But she shared. So,
Oh, BB. Another adopted daughter.
Okay, hi everyone. Yeah, my name's Brianna, but as a child I was known as BB. And I'm Puerto Rican, but I identify as a bubble blonde because of Julie Ellefson. I grew up with them. They really adopted me into their household. My parents divorced. They graciously welcomed me in, and I went on vacations with them. And honestly, I can just say that I wouldn't be anywhere where I would be without the Ellefsons, both of them as a couple. There's so many divorces and stuff, and they're really a relationship that I admire and I remember like as a kid. And I'm so lucky to have been best friends with Katie. I work at NASA now because of Dave and Julie. Honestly, making me do the multiplication tables at their house, teaching me Super Science Saturday. And yeah, I just want to echo that like her legacy is, you know, I admire her as a woman. It's what I want to do for the next generation as well. And I'm just thankful for all of the Ellefsons. So yeah, thanks.
Anybody else? Good. Patty. Now, if there's any complaints about this venue or something, it's Patty. Come over here so you can, so our parents can see it.
Her last wish for me was to get rid of the damn brown shag carpet upstairs. When she started hospice, we had 3 hours together. When she came, that was my great. Anyway, this is a that I thought would be great for closing. David, you want to read this? I can't. Oh.
You got this.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scott, Julie's son-in-law, the Navy one, the better one. This is from her dear friend, Patty. God saw you were getting tired, and a care was not to be. So he put his arms around you and whispered, "Come with me." With tearful eyes, suffer, and saw you fade away. Although we loved you dearly, we could not make you stay. A golden heart stopped beating, hardworking hands to rest. God broke our hearts to prove to us he only takes the best.
Well, we ought to end on a joke after that. Kathy? Oh, she's wearing Lily Pulitzer and Julie's honor.
Absolutely. I was educated in the ways for sure. I was so blessed and fortunate. I literally lived across the street from Dave and Julie when they moved in. And the same thing, as everybody in this room knows, I don't think Julie ever knew a stranger. She was always welcoming any person she ever met, no matter where or when. And I think she only really loved the Navy because of the Naval Academy, because of her girls, her pride and joy. And when she found out that my husband too was a Naval Academy grad, then I became one of her favorite people. And I'm so glad that that happened, because she too welcomed me in, and I felt like she took me under her wing and made me a part of the family when my husband was deployed to or things were going on. But the thing is, she, I think, really brought anybody she ever met also under her wing. She loved everyone with a full heart, with all kindness, and everybody mattered. And her girls were definitely her pride and joy, for sure. And the love of her life, David, too, was no mistake. That was very, very evident. Not just what she said, but how everybody interacted, and how, like, not only is it couple, you kind of were joint parents to most everybody. It really made a difference. And when my husband finally retired from the Navy, that's when I learned and was educated in the ways of Lily Pulitzer, because I was moving back to the South. And she's like, oh, you're going back to the East Coast. Okay, you've got to know this. And she's so educating me the ways literally of Lily Pulitzer. So she gave me a couple little items to say, this is what you need to look for. And I bought this dress just for today, just for her. And when I put it on, I felt a little odd, but then also it's so vibrant. And I said, of course, this is what she loves so much, because this is who she is. This is what she represented. This is what she gave to the world. And of course, it's Lily Pulitzer. And the other thing that I was just thinking about, to end on a beautiful thing about her, when my husband retired, she gave me 4 little nesting sea turtle dishes that were supposed to be for like dipping sauces. But I love sea turtles so much, I thought, I'm going to make this a salt dish. So this is where I keep my salt that I cook with. And it just dawned on me, the salt of the earth. She is the salt of the earth forever.
That's not to say she couldn't be tough. I think all of us have been chewed out by her at least once in a while. And it's like, but I thought you love me and I'm your husband. It's just, don't let that go to your head. So she expects a certain level of performance and she'd get it out of you. So anyway, no matter where we were in the relationships on it, the one thing about Julie that was consistent is her heart was so open. Even if she became a different woman every day, the heart was always there and the same. So anyone else, if not, enjoy the day. And what we're going to do around 2 o'clock is Craig graciously has got his Duffy, and we're going to go and spread Julie's ashes in the bay. And she wanted that because Julie and I were married under the Coronado Bridge. We had rented a yacht called the Zumbrata, the biggest elephant in Barnum and Bailey's circus. How apropos. And we had the reception party, everything. They picked us up at the boathouse by the Dell. We got married, continued the party on the boat. And it's been sort of like that afterwards. Though she's stuck with me. I remember when Lockheed transferred me to Washington, D.C., and she's 4th generation Californian. She's looking out the window of the airplane as we descend into Dulles. And I tap her on the shoulder. She turns around. She had visible tears because she says, it's snowing out there. But even that, she adapted to that. And, I've gotten, calls from people that knew us back in Washington, D.C., just saying they can't believe that she's not there, even though they haven't talked with us for 20 years and stuff. They said, whoa, she's like got to be a consistent part of our life. She's got to be there. But time moves on. So anyway, anyone else? If not, we'll just, oh. Miss Hickman?
My name is Sherry Hickman, and I met Julie when we moved to Coronado in 2013. And I decided my husband John needed to learn how to sail since we moved to Coronado. So I signed him up for a class at the military sailing class. And his partner was Dave. And they did the beginning, in intermediate and advanced sailing classes. And, you know, John would come home and go, God, I met this great guy, my sailing partner. He's so much fun, this and that. And finally, one day I went and met Dave, and he said, you have got to meet Julie because you guys are going to become good friends. I can just tell by meeting you. And he was right, because she was open and welcome. We didn't know one person in Coronado. We moved here and didn't know anybody. And everything everybody's saying about her is so true, where she's just welcoming. They invited us on their boat and, you know, down to the yacht club. And I just have so many fond memories of her, and she's going to be so missed. And to have known all the people who were special to her, Carrie and Patty and Becky, and just, you know, to have been part of the cabbie group was so much fun. And I know what you're saying about she was a little judgmental if she didn't like what you were wearing, because I showed up at a cabbie party in an outfit that she did not care for. And she said, oh, that has got to go. Put this on, you know, and that was, you know, that was their personality, and so much fun. And I'm so grateful that she was such a part of our lives, and that Dave is. Thank you.
The only one that she didn't have fashion success with was me. She said I came into style once every 25 years. So I'm still waiting for it to roll around.
I remember the day that I first met Julie was the day that David and Julie were driving around the Cays looking for a place to live in San Diego. And Steve Locke and I were out in the front yard visiting with each other, and they stopped and we started talking with each other, and we told them what a sociable neighborhood we lived in and how fun our street was, and how we had Thursday afternoon garage driveway parties. And I would like to think that that's one of the reasons they moved into the Cays, is because I told them how sociable the neighborhood was. But after Julie had lived there about, I don't know, a week, a month, she knew everybody. I had lived there 20 years, and I said to my husband, my God, Julie knows everybody in the neighborhood, and we've lived here 20 years and I still don't know everybody. So it's true. She was a very sociable and very gracious woman, and we will miss her dearly.
Like I said, she knew their dogs' names first, and then after a while, she knew all their names. Anyone else? If not, just enjoy the day. And so glad that you guys came. And just so you know, Julie's mom and dad were planning on coming down here, but their health is not that great. You know, they're a spry young mid-90s couple. And so anyway, they're watching us virtually, and it's really, I'm sure, gladdens their heart to hear all the stories about Julie, you know, because it's tough for us to let go of Julie. It's got to be really double tough on them. So over and out.